Hi guys, I quickly wanted to jump on here and answer a question that is something that's been asked of me and something that I know has been asked of others in respect of the field of work that I work within. And obviously it's a question on the title page of this video. And that is, how do we as psychics, as mediums, as energy healing practitioners, how do we do psychic readings? How do we do mediumship readings? And how do we offer energy healing practices without being in the same room as the person that we're offering them to or that we're working with? So when it comes to my work, all of my services are currently online, and hopefully at some point in the future, that is something that I can offer on a one-to-one in-person setting. But currently they are all online. And from sort of my perspective, I've not found any issue with that at all whatsoever when it comes to being able to offer my services. And certainly I haven't found any impact in respect of the outcomes of what I achieve through those services when it comes to the level of how I can read someone psychically, or how I can connect with past loved ones in spirit, or how I can send energy healing from a remote or a distance perspective. I know in the past a lot, well, pretty much everyone, because we didn't have access to technology at that point, they would have predominantly sort of, well, potentially had more of an inclination to work with people on a physical, in the same environment, one-to-one basis. And as the years have sort of moved forward, we've seen the introduction of technology, we've experienced a pandemic, there has been a vast increase of people taking it all online. And obviously that has massive benefits, because then we can sort of work with people who are worldwide. I offer my services to clients who are international, as well as within the UK. So it really opens up the field to be able to connect with people from that sort of state as well. But how does it work? So if we look at it from a scientific perspective, we are all energy, and that energy exists everywhere, regardless of distance, time, any of that. None of that is a factor when it comes to having an awareness that we are all energy. And when we look at it from a sort of deeper perspective, and I really go into this a little bit in my ebook, which is on nervous system regulation and the fascia, and how I'm almost described it is, if we jump into that awareness of what we look at when it comes to the earth, and below the surface of the earth, so below the soil, we've got something called the mycelium network. And the mycelium network allows communication to take place between trees, plants, nature, so they can have that sort of communication, and that sort of supports them into a deeper understanding of what that network requires. I guess as we move through the seasons, there's that sort of deeper state of awareness of where the trees may be within their cycles, where the plants may be within their cycles, what they may be needing in terms of nourishment. So they have that ability to communicate with one another through this energetic communication system. And if we look at ourselves, it's often that we've been sort of referring to our energetic field around ourselves as the aura. And that can be one sort of manner in which we talk about it. It can be considered the aura. But then when we look at it from a more quantum perspective or an energetic perspective, this could sort of lean into when we talk about the fascia network in the body, which I talk about quite often. And again, that's this connective network that we've got running throughout our body that creates this communication that looks very similar to the mycelium network. And what that allows the body to do is communicate within itself. And what I've understood through my practice as a psychic, through my practice as a medium, is that fascia system allows us to then communicate with other individuals' fascial systems, nervous systems, very similar to the mycelium network that we see within nature. Now, this is when it gets a little bit more quantum in perspective. So could we consider that this fascial network actually expands outside of us and is what has been termed the auric field? Okay. And so when I'm working from a psychic perspective, I am tapping into another individual's auric field, their energetic field. And through that field, that's when we have access to maybe stuff that's happened in their past, maybe stuff that's currently happening around them. So maybe they've got sort of stuff happening in work, they've got sort of relationships around them that maybe has got bits and pieces happening, as it always tends to be with some sort of people's experiences. And when we can have the ability to possibly sort of tap into the future, and that sort of gives us an awareness of their sort of future path as it unfolds. There's another aspect of it that I do lean into again when it comes to my ebook, and it's something that's been known as the Akashic field. And again, we could look at it very similarly to the mycelium network, to the fascial network within the body. The Akashic realm is an etheric realm that is considered to be a library of consciousness that has information that is connected to all that has ever been. So we're looking at it as almost like a library of souls. So it will have everything within that space that is connected to every moment of your life, past, present, and future. Okay. And almost when we are working within a psychic perspective, we have accessibility to that etheric realm to be able to access that information. And that could be done through the process of connecting with that person's energetic field. So again, we don't have to be in the same room, the same environment to be able to do that. When we're looking from a quantum perspective, an energetic perspective, a scientific perspective, we are tapping into a network of communication, information, a library of information, very similar to how nature will communicate with itself when it comes to the mycelium network. And again, this kind of similar but different when it comes to mediumship readings. We also, when we're sort of working from a mediumship perspective, I am again working with my energy field and expanding that out to a different state of consciousness, a different field of consciousness. And in that field of consciousness, that vibrational field that I'm connecting into, this is where we have, it's like a vibrational plane of existence. We're accessing that. And this vibrational plane of existence, some refer to it as heaven. This is where we consider that our past loved ones reside when they transition, when they pass over. And so when we're accessing that through, for what I have started to sort of understand and have started to question through our fascial network, our own version of that mycelium network, we are able to access these fields, these states of consciousness, the heavenly realms where our loved ones are residing. And in that process, we will use our communication network, our fascial system, our nervous system, our different senses that we work with that are connected to our psychic state of being, our higher consciousness state of being. And through that, we will be able to communicate with individuals that are in that state of being. Okay. So we may sort of receive messages from them through feelings within our physical body that are channeled and communicated through our nervous system, through our fascial system. And that allows us to communicate with these souls that have departed as they connect and merge with our physical body. So again, we're really looking at it as an energetic bridging of a gap. Okay. And so from that perspective, again, your loved ones reside in this expanded, altered, different state of consciousness, different field of consciousness. And so when it comes to a mediumship reading, we don't necessarily need for you to be in the same room as us for us to be able to access and connect with your loved ones in spirit in this different state of consciousness. It's something that we can do through simply allowing our communication network within our body to be able to access that. And then when we are looking from a distance healing or remote healing perspective, it's very much the same as those two factors that I just discussed. When we are working with sending energy healing to an individual, when we're looking to send remote healing to somebody or distance healing, whether that's online or we're physically just tapping into that individual's energetic field, their fascial network, their communication network, through that we can channel through ourselves, through our fascial system to theirs, this energy healing. And that is not disrupted by time, distance, anything like that, because energy, almost I want to say, it exists outside that field. It doesn't exist in the field of time, of distance. It exists outside of that space. And when we look at it from that perspective, it enables us to understand that we don't need to be in the same environment, the same room, to be able to communicate with you psychically, to connect with any of your past loved ones in spirit, to be able to send you energy healing, to be able to work with you from a distance level. Or even if we want to sort of delve into something like remote viewing practices, which I can sort of discuss in another video, that's how we would sort of look to access that. So it's really looking at it from an energetic perspective. Everything is energy and it exists everywhere. And when we sort of incorporate that into the awareness of the fascial network and really look at our fascial network from a scientific and a quantum perspective as being very similar to the mycelium network, when we sort of learn and understand that that expands outside of us, whether we can see it or not, then we can understand that we're all connected to that network. And so we all communicate through that network. And so when we set the intention to merge our consciousness with another's, whether they be in this physical realm or they be in a higher state of consciousness that we may consider heaven, or other states of consciousness outside of that, what we're simply doing is we're tapping into those different networks of consciousness and allowing our consciousness to blend with that. And through that, we can communicate. I guess that sort of leads you on to the sort of questions of like how telepathy can work. And that could be something that I'll talk about and discuss at some other point. But I hope that kind of answers the question from how I perceive it. It doesn't necessarily have to be everybody's belief, but that's kind of how I've been shown it and how I've learned to understand it as I've done more of this work. And it certainly just sort of confirms the fact that it does not need for you to be in a physical, one-to-one, in-person setting for you to have a reading, whether that's psychic, whether that's mediumship, or to have a remote healing or a distance healing session. It works equally the same. And I have seen incredible results with people when I've been doing readings, regardless of distance, regardless of time. And so, yeah, I hope that helps. Let me know if you've got any other questions in the comments. And take care, guys, and have a fantastic day. Bye.